Hey everybody, my name's Tim Jordan, and today I'm going to talk to you about multinational finance. And I know that sounds super scary, but as Amazon sellers, we have access to this incredibly simple platform, but some of the transactions and some of the processes that we need to follow can actually be a little bit complex, meaning we're not just in a brick and mortar store selling to someone that walks in. A lot of times we're selling to people in other countries from where we're located, or we're trying to make supplier payments internationally. We're doing some things that on the surface can be a little bit complex, but we have some options to make that simple. So today I'm going to be talking about the Alta platform, specifically the digital wallet. Alta is a feature in the Helium 10 suite, and the digital wallet is a tool function that allows you to transact and hold different currencies and do some of these seemingly, like I said, complex things in a very, very easy to use format. So the first reason that we would use the digital wallet, the first purpose, is for marketplace payouts. Amazon requires you to have a local currency account in the country that you're selling in. So if you're selling in .com in the US, you have to have an account in the US that can collect those funds. If you're selling in the UK, you have to have an account in UK that can collect those funds. If you don't do that, if you say, hey, I'm in the US, but I want to sell in the UK, I don't want to have a local currency account, Amazon will let you not have a local currency account, but they're going to charge you for it. This is called ACCS, or Amazon Currency Conversion Service. When I first started selling in Canada from the US, all I knew is every 2 weeks I got my money. I had no idea that at the time they were charging 4% conversion fee. They've since then reduced the fee right now to 1.5%. So if you don't have a local currency account, if you're in the US selling in Canada, UK, EU, wherever, Amazon's going to transfer your funds automatically every 2 weeks back into your local business account at a 1.5% fee. Now that's for people based in some countries like the US. However, if you're based abroad selling into the US or other countries, sometimes they don't even allow their ACCS system to support you. You can't even open up an account without a local currency account. So what the Alta Digital Wallet Marketplace Payouts function does is gives you a local currency account. So let's start off if you're in the US. If you're in the US and you're selling in the US, you don't necessarily need that because you have a business account that your funds are going to be deposited into. But as soon as you decide to expand to Canada, to the UK, to Australia, UAE, wherever marketplace you're going into, you need to have a local currency account set up in that region so that there's really two reasons. One, your funds are not automatically transferred from Amazon at a 1.5% fee. The other thing is maybe you need those funds in local currency. An example would be if I'm in the US selling in the UK and I have VAT to pay in the UK. I have my logistics provider or my 3PL in the UK to pay. I don't want to take my funds from Amazon UK sales, transfer them to USD in my USD account, and then transfer them back overseas to that UK beneficiary. I don't want to do that. With the Alta local currency account, I can actually park my UK funds, my GBP funds, for as long as I want to, and then transact locally or move them back and forth, or even pay my Chinese supplier if I want to, kind of on my own schedule, right? So it gives you more flexibility. Again, it sounds like everything is really, really complex. It's very, very simple. If you're in the US selling internationally, you want to set up a local currency account. That way you have control of your funds flow. And when you do want to, it's called repatriatizing it. When you want to bring your funds back into, say, your US bank account, you can do that significantly less expensively than Amazon. All right, if you're abroad, if you're in Germany, if you're in Japan, and if you're on Australia, basically anywhere selling into countries like the US and using the platforms here in the US, you have to have a local deposit account where your marketplace payouts can be dropped into that account. They're not going to automatically transfer your funds abroad, okay? A lot of this has to do with legal and compliance issues, specifically related to money laundering, believe it or not. All of these countries in the world have gotten together and set up some pretty robust anti-money laundering systems, which makes transferring funds across country lines a little bit complex, right? So that's why you have to have these local currency accounts to even open up an Amazon account in the US for those funds to go in. Now, getting the account is very, very simple. You go into the Alta function of the Helium 10 dashboard, and you're going to apply for this account. It might take you a few days, and there is a fairly stringent policy for documenting who you are. And all of this goes back to the required anti-money laundering compliance and diligence that has to be done. We have to make sure we know who you are. We have to make sure that we know exactly what type of business you're operating and that you fall underneath the compliance guidelines that the international standards basically have. So once you apply for a digital wallet and you're accepted, you'll be given a local currency account in whichever country you want to sell in, right? You will take that account and list that in your Amazon store settings as your deposit account. All right? It's fairly simple. And when you go into Ulta, there's going to be a walkthrough and instructions on how to change that bank account information, add that bank account information. It's very, very simple. Basically, you're telling Amazon to disperse those funds into your digital wallet every 2 weeks when you get paid. Now, once those funds are dropped into your account, you get to choose what to do with that. You may keep it parked in the US to pay a US supplier or to pay a US logistics provider. You can bring it back to your currency. Ulta supports around 200 different currencies right now. You can bring it back into your currency. You can actually keep it parked and send it to a supplier in China or India. There's a lot of different flexibility and different functions you can do. But once those funds are dropped into your account, you have complete control and they're parked in US dollars. The only time that you're going to be charged a fee is when you actually transact. And the fee structure is listed all on the Ulta platform. If you're paying a US supplier, it can be extremely, extremely inexpensive, $1. Even if you're abroad, if you're transferring through multiple currencies, you'll be charged a small transaction percentage over the currency conversion. And sometimes if you're transferring in the same currency, so a USD payment into USD account in China, it's basically a standard wire fee. So all that's listed out. So that's marketplace payouts. That's the first primary function of digital wallet. The second primary function I've already touched on a little bit is supplier pay. Supplier pay is an extremely important part of the e-commerce journey. If we're not paying our suppliers, we can't get products to sell. Supplier pay is something that was built specifically for international payments to suppliers abroad. There's some really cool functions built in, like being able to pay in local currencies. A lot of people don't know this, but if I send a wire transfer to China, for example, that transfer is usually a USD or US dollar transfer to another USD account. Well, my Chinese supplier can't use US dollars, so then he has to down convert it into local Chinese currency, RMB. What that means is his bank is usually charging him 4 to 5% to transfer his funds from USD to RMB, and then he can pay his raw goods suppliers, his power bill, his lease, his employees. If I can pay directly into RMB in China, a lot of times I can negotiate that rate down. So the way I do that is I get my quote in USD and I say, hey, how about if I transfer to you in RMB, I'll take care of the conversion. Well, that saves them several percentage points, right? So a lot of times I can negotiate 3 or 4% reduced rate on my invoice just by paying in local currency. And the small fee that I pay to Ulta is a quarter or a fifth of what my supplier was upcharging me anyways. So it can actually save you a lot of money. The other thing that's cool is, a little bit like I talked about with the marketplace payouts, is I don't have to transact more than I need to. So if I am in Australia selling on Amazon.com and I have a supplier in India, the traditional method for selling on Amazon is my marketplace payouts from Amazon would come to me in Australia, and then I'd pay my supplier in China or India, right? Well, think about the two different transaction and conversions that take place. But with the digital wallet, I can have my funds in one currency held there and then pay directly to a supplier, so that I'm actually reducing the number of transactions, reducing my fees, and ultimately saving me time and money. A couple other really cool things about supplier pay. One is that you get basically notifications and status updates. When I send a wire, a traditional wire or TT through a bank, I don't get those. I send the money, and as soon as that money leaves my account, it's gone. I can't touch it, I can't see it, I can't retrieve it, there's no going back, right? And I don't actually know when my supplier receives that money. So if I send it to my supplier and say, hey, I sent it, and he hasn't received it, now I start to wonder, is he lying to me? Did he really receive it and say he didn't? Or is it lost somewhere? Was there an error, and maybe in a month, those funds will be returned to me because a decimal point was put in the wrong place, or a letter wasn't capitalized with a business name when it should have been. There's all sorts of reasons that wire transfers can not transfer through. And there's just fraud. There's people that say, hey, I never got your wire transfer when they actually did. So with the Alta Digital Wallet Supplier Pay, you're actually notified in real time, and you get confirmation when those funds arrive, which can save you weeks of having your bank do what's called a trace, which can take forever. It actually costs you money. And in that interim, those 3 or 4 weeks, you won't know where your money is. So that's one really cool function, is the transparency. The other function about Supplier Pay that is really, really convenient is that you can do it from your laptop, right? You don't have to go to a bank. You don't have to fax wire confirmations, none of that. It's extremely simple, extremely easy. And for those of us that are maybe solopreneurs, or we're juggling a lot of different things all at once, we don't have time for these complex, old, archaic banking systems and sending wire transfers. So we can do that very, very quickly. So make sure, if you haven't done so, go into Alta in the Helium 10 platform, sign up for a digital wallet. If it's appropriate for you, start utilizing the marketplace payouts. There's instructions within the platform that shows you exactly how to do it. Again, if you are abroad selling in the US, it's probably something you're going to be required to do. If you're in the US selling abroad, then you probably still want to do that to save from Amazon charging you through their ACCS system at 1.5%. And then second thing, look at Supplier Pay. If you're paying suppliers abroad, figure out if you're paying more than you should be, figure out if there's a way to save you money, figure out if there's a way to streamline your process, make it simple, have more transparency, and start utilizing that Supplier Pay feature that was built specifically for e-commerce sellers, and it will save you potentially a lot of headaches in the long run. I hope this module has helped. I'm extremely excited that you're continuing to learn and go through this Amazon journey. Don't be scared of the financial transactions that have to happen. It seems complex. Finances frankly scare me to death, but having a platform like Alta that's extremely easy to understand and has an entire support system behind it to help you can help relieve some of those headaches and some of that insecurities and help keep you moving forward.